everyone. I'm Dr. Renee Mera. Thank you so much for joining my podcast. It's with a very special guest, and we're in a very beautiful, almost divine setting over here in the quiet suburb of Chicago. And I'm here with Arran Stephens. He's got the most coveted honor, the Order of British Columbia. It's OBC. You can see that beautiful medal over here. But Arran Stephens is the co-founder with his wife Ramdas Stephens of Nature's Path, one of the leading breakfast cereal and snack food companies in North America. Now, of course, he's retired and his children have taken over on this beautiful business that he's had. We're going to talk about that as well later on with him. He is a pioneer, a trailblazing entrepreneur, a restaurateur, a prolific writer, a great versatile singer, and an amazing painter. You're going to see his paintings in his books. And he's the author of books including The Compassionate Diet, Journey to the Luminous, and his latest book is The Moth and the Flame, which has now been published in Hindi as well, Kirpal Mera Guru, Kirpal Mera Malik. What I like about Arran Stephens, he's such a multifaceted personality, but more so than that, what I admire about him, he's a down-to-earth and amazing, humble human being. So Arran G, let's take a seat and have this robust conversation with you on your latest book, The Moth and the Flame, which is now on Amazon as well as on your website, aransart.org. And we have the Hindi book that was published just recently, and it's Kirpal Mera Guru, Kirpal Mera Malik, and already sold out 5,000 copies, and it's translated also in different languages now.
Hungarian, French, Spanish.
Wonderful.
The Spanish version is on its third printing now.
Now this is your autobiography. It's awe-inspiring autobiography. It's about your transformative journey.
It's mostly about the message, the underlying message of love,
Yes.
peace and unity.
Yeah. And your lived experiences that you're sharing with your viewers with the three mystics, Sant Kirpal Singh Ji, Sant Darshan Singh Ji, and Sant Rajinder Singh Ji.
And even Sant Kirpal Singh Ji's predecessor, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh, also, because it was a vision of him and of Master Kirpal that brought me to this path before I had even known of them.
Tell us the genesis behind this book.
Well, it goes back to childhood. It goes back to a troubled teens when I felt there was no purpose to my existence. I was in despair. When I was 17, I tried to take my life. Somehow a voice spoke to me as I was drowning that there's more. There's a bright future ahead of you. You have more to live for. And right after that, I went to a monastery in Los Angeles. And it was at that monastery, and it had nothing to do with the monastery except that it kept me away from all of the bad habits that I was exposed to. And this light came to me. It came, a very powerful light. It was transformative. And that light started within me a search for the source of that light. And so from there, I went and studied all the different mystical teachings and spiritual traditions that I could find. I spent time at Swami Paramahansa Yogananda's Self-Realization Fellowship. I went to Sri Ramakrishna's temple in New York City. I met one of the direct disciples of Ramakrishna Paramhans. I studied with Gurdjieff and Uspensky. I studied the Bible, Buddhist teachings. I went through a period of Tibetan Buddhism. And all of these things led me on this quest, the quest for the source of the light that was with me at that time. At first, when I had this experience, I thought maybe I was going crazy. And then when I started delving into the great spiritual traditions of the world, I found that this light is really the centerpiece of all the great mystical teachings that have come from the beginning of time. That quest led me to the feet of Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj. He and his guru, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh, appeared to me in 1964 when I was 20 years old. And that inspired me to follow this path. I realized that he was a true master and this was my calling in life. So I left all my bad habits behind. I became a strict vegetarian, teetotaler, no drugs, celibate, and I followed that path for the next 5 years. During that time, I spent 7 months with Sant Kripal Singh Ji in 1967 when I was 23. And that was the most wonderful time of my life, sitting at the feet of a great master. But what to do, how to put this into practice. So before I left India, I had an interview with the master, and I said to him, Master, I'm just wondering about my vocation in life, what I should do. And you know, there's no place for vegetarians to eat where I live in Canada. And I was thinking of starting a vegetarian restaurant.
And that was your first vegetarian restaurant in the whole Canada?
Yes, but when I got back from India, I only had $7, but I had his blessings. He told me it was a good idea. And so somehow, miraculously, everything came together. I started Canada's first vegetarian restaurant in 1967. Then I came back to India a year later, and when I arrived in India, it was, I think it was October of 1968, I saw him with his son, Sant Darshan Singh, and there was a young man there. And the Master Kripal was putting a garland of flowers around the neck of this young man. And he saw me watching from a distance, and he called me over, and he said, "You want to see what I looked like when I was a young man?" He said, "Situ Raji." He said, the only difference between him and me is that I always tied a simple turban, whereas he ties a fashionable turban. It was a very sweet time. So during the last 7 years of the great master Sant Kripal Singh Ji's life, I spent 18 months with him, traveling with him all over India. Sometimes I was the only Westerner there. Sometimes there were many Westerners there. So having no ability to understand, I decided to learn Hindi and Punjabi. So I studied Hindi and Punjabi. I can read and write Punjabi.
Really?
But I don't understand all of it, I have to confess. So anyway, that little business that started with $7 and a $1,500 loan, it became the beginning of a pioneering company that pioneered organic foods across North America. What began as a zero movement at that time, there was no business actually. Today it's a $150 billion worldwide global enterprise employing millions of people and covering millions of acres. In India, in all the countries of the world, organic foods has become an important factor in our food supply, because organic foods are better for you because they're grown without pesticides, without genetically modified ingredients. It's purer, more healthy, and more wholesome. So it's been my calling to not only pursue my spiritual practice of meditation every day, meditating 2.5 to 3 hours every day, but also balancing that out with a healthy, active life. And it was in 1969, on my second trip to India, I got there in 68, and then in 1969, after the great master's birthday celebration, it was February 7th, 1969, a friend of mine came up to me and he said, "Arran Ji, would you like to marry an Indian girl?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Oh, she's very qualified. She's a MA degree. She's a college lecturer, very good family." And I said, "Well, I don't know, you know." He said, "I will arrange a meeting tonight with the master." So that night, we were introduced to each other. We were sitting at opposite ends of a long table. And as we were eating our food, I looked up to see what she looked like. And I caught her looking at me as well. So it was a very sweet moment. So we never dated. We never held hands.
That's very interesting for a Canadian to go for an arranged marriage.
Well, we were engaged on the evening of March 3rd, and the master told us, "You be ready at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. You be ready." And on the next morning, we were married according to Sikh rites. It was my choice to have a Sikh wedding. And we got married and fell in love in that order.
Wow, wonderful.
So the master wanted to balance out my ascetic tendencies, because I was more like a sadhu than anything. I was not interested in the world. Even though I had this little business back in Canada, I had left it alone for 6 months. I had been in India and just, all right, left it with other people. And so I didn't have enough money actually to bring my bride with me, Ratna. And she's been the cornerstone of my life and my business as well, our business. So can you believe it? You know, people go and give money to gurus. With Sant Kirpal Singh, he gave me money so I could buy a ticket for Ratna and bring her back to Canada with me.
He also lent you his coat at the time of wedding because you didn't have one.
No, he said, "Here, I give you my coat."
Wow, he didn't lend it, he gave it to
He
you.
gave me, and he said, "Let's see how the coat fits." So I put it on, and you know, the master was a giant of a man, and his shoulders were out to here. And he said, "Well, you can have a fitting." And I felt that my whole life was getting a fitting. And so we had his blessings. We were married according to Sikh rites, which it was a marriage ceremony that was started by Guru Ramdas in about 350 some years ago. And it was just a beautiful, sublime wedding. And after the wedding, the master gave us personal advice, and he gave me a signed copy of his book, Gurmat Siddhant. And it's interesting, he asked Ratna if she could read Punjabi. She was fluent in Punjabi, but she couldn't read or write it. She said, "No, master." He said, "Oh, my Lord." Anyway, now Ratna is learning Gurmukhi. She's learning how to read and write it, as of course she can speak it fluently. But I already had learned how to read and write Gurmukhi, you know.
What an amazing, and I like the way you said your life was a fit in.
Yeah,
You know, fit in your marriage, fit in your youth. You know,
Yeah.
you've had many life-changing experiences.
Yes.
One of them was, of course, Ratna, meeting her, and then she became the cornerstone of your life. It's the same time of your business. She saved your business.
yeah. She did save my business,
She saved your business.
because she was running our restaurant, which was very successful.
Yeah.
And I had started this cereal company. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to run a factory. But here we are running a factory, and nothing is working. So, you know, what to do? I went to my wife. I said, "Ratna, I need your help. I really need your help." And so she came over and helped me out with the business. And together, her with her practical skills and me with my, you know, rather, I have a vision. You know, I always like creating things. As an artist, I created. As a business person, I'm a very creative person, but I'm not the best person for details. And this is where Ratna and I made this great partnership. Yeah.
It's been like 50 years now.
We've been married 56 years,
Wonderful.
and
And three
our,
beautiful children.
we have 4 beautiful children.
Four, I'm
We have
sorry.
3 beautiful daughters, 1 handsome son.
Arjun,
Yes.
Gurdeep, Shanti,
Yes. And Jyoti.
and Jyoti.
Yes.
I haven't met Jyoti, but I met the other
And
one.
we have 6 beautiful granddaughters and 1 grandson. Yes.
That's beautiful.
So we are actually now in the house of my oldest daughter, Shanti.
Shanti,
Yeah.
This is her place. And then another life-changing experience was Gurdeep giving you her liver.
So somehow my past karma caught up with me. I have an antitrypsin genetic thing that predisposes me to liver and lung issues. So it was in 2010, I was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. And this is despite being a strict vegetarian, no alcohol, no drugs, and I was dying from liver disease. This was when I was 67. It got so bad that the doctor said, if we don't find a liver replacement for you, you're not going to live more than a couple of months. Now, unbeknownst to me, my daughter Gurdeep, our second daughter, she went out and got her blood tested, and she found out that she was a perfect match for my liver. And she asked me many times, Dad, I want to give you a piece of my liver so you can live. And I said, Gurdeep, no father would want to do this to his daughter. And I refused. But when I was so sick that I could hardly move, Gurdeep came to me. She was angry and she was crying. And she said, Dad, if you don't accept my liver, I'll never forgive you. And I was crying and she was crying.
What a moment.
At that moment, I decided to accept her gift. And I said, this is a gift from my master. This is a gift from my daughter.
Gift of love.
A gift of
life.
God. Yes.
Gift of God.
So it was March 7th, 2011. We were wheeled down into the emergency, into the operating rooms. She was in one operating, I was in the other. They took 2/3 of her liver, the right lobe of her liver, took my old liver out and transplanted that right lobe into my body. It's a procedure that took 13 hours, hundreds of stitches, you know, and then they sewed me up. So there were some complications, but somehow I survived. And Gurdeep, her liver grew back within 6 weeks. Now the liver is the only organ in the body that can regenerate. And with me it took about 8 months to adjust. And then I got a new lease on life. Now I'm 81, and with my Guru's grace and God and my dear daughter, I'm here today. And I feel that my purpose in life is to serve humanity and to serve the greater cause.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all your life experiences are intertwined with your spiritual growth.
Absolutely. It's
You met Master
my daily
Kripal.
practice.
Yes.
Never a day goes by unless I'm traveling when I don't do at least 2 to 3 hours or 4 hours a day meditation.
That's something that we all can learn.
It's a matter of discipline.
Yeah.
You have to discipline yourself, and you have to say, I will not begin my day without my practice of meditation. That has been my rock and my foundation and my inspiration.
Now, all your life-changing experiences and all your shared experiences are prefaced with insurmountable odds. You know, whether it was your youth and you met Master Kripal.
You know what Master Kripal said once? He said, when God wants to make a beautiful poem out of a man's life, he sends him difficulties. So it's these things that make us stronger. It's the sand in the oyster that produces a pearl. Okay? So adversity is a gift. Swami Ram Tirat, who was a great yogi who came to America in around 1890. I'm not sure of the exact date. It was somewhere around the time of Swami Vivekananda. And he had a beautiful saying, and Sant Kirpal Singh used to quote Swami Ram Tirat. He said, self-realization precedes God realization. Guru precedes self-realization. Satsang, or the spiritual discourses, precede Guru. And adversity precedes satsang.
Beautiful.
So adversity, although it hurts, it is a gift in disguise.
Well, we say, you know, it's like to relieve pain, you forget more pain.
There's a saying in India, to remove a thorn, you use a thorn.
Exactly, exactly. So you were there, I think, almost more than 2 years at the feet of the masters, whether
Yes.
it's Master Kripal, Master Darshan, and Master Rajendra.
That's correct.
So many practical tips of wisdom that you have gotten from them.
I've shared that.
There's
I've
so
shared
much
that.
in this book.
It's a lot of anecdotes.
Yeah.
It's all based on my own personal firsthand experience. Not only experiences of questions and answers with the various masters. The miracles, I've recorded the miracle stories in here that are endless. In the lives of the disciples, the miracles happen. If you have the vision, you can see them happening almost on a daily basis. You might call it serendipity, or you might call it coincidence, or you can call it grace. I prefer to call it grace.
Yeah.
And
Divine intervention.
yeah, so also in here, Master Kripal said to me, he said, because you have your own experience, because you have experience of what you're writing about, your words will have effect.
Absolutely.
If you do not have experience and you talk about spirituality or inner
Doesn't work.
visions or whatever, they don't have an effect on people. It's what you live that impacts others.
That's why it's so impactful, this book.
And you know,
really touches you.
my guru told me, he says, as long as you, he quoted Kabir Sahib, he said, as long as you live, give, give, and give, or day, or day, okay? So we have been given so many gifts, and we have forgotten the giver. We've fallen in love with the gifts. So we must thank the giver.
Absolutely.
You know, Guru Nanak in the final pauri of the Japji, he says, this is English translation, those who have communed with the Nam, their toils shall end, and their faces shall flame with glory. Not only will they attain salvation, O Nanak, but countless others shall find freedom with them.
And you have these great paintings, again, as a painter that really shows the versatility. And these were all approved by the master?
You know, it's interesting. Soon as I arrived in India, Sant Kirpal Singh Ji told me very seriously, he said, you should write down what you see and hear so that you may not forget. So I began recording everything he said. I had a very good memory for what, you know, the words of the master, because that was my very life. And after each question and answer session, I'd go back to my room and I'd write down the questions and answers and various things that happened around. As I said, it's full of stories. This is full of stories, and
Yes.
I love stories, and I want to share these stories with others because they inspire people. It's not like dry scripture.
Yes.
This is one of the great things about the book by Paramahansa Yogananda is that it's talking about his own experiences. So this, in some ways, is similar to autobiography of a yogi. Of course, he was much better than me, but I'm just you know, a clod of earth. I often say, you know, I'm just an old dog now, but in my youth, I was a puppy, and I happened to stray into the lane of the beloved.
Beautiful.
And the beloved gave me some milk to drink and some crumbs of food and a pat on the head. And you know, if you want a dog as a friend for life, you feed it. You give it some love, and it will never leave. So even though, you know, maybe my mind wanted to go this way or that way, I always say, Master, oh God, keep me on a short leash so that I will not wander here or wander there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this title of this book was also given by
Sant Darshan Singh
Sant
Ji,
Darshan Singh.
he said, I asked him for a title. You know, Sant Kirpal Singh Ji guided this book, and then Sant Darshan Singh Ji guided it. And he said, brother, he suggested this title, brother, what about Kirpal my Guru, Kirpal my Lord? And a perfect translation of that is Kirpal mere Guru, Kirpal mere Malik. And that's the title of the Hindi book. But I thought, maybe that's too much for a Western audience. And so I took the two titles to Sant Rajinder Singh Ji, the living master, and he chose this picture and this title, Moth and the Flame, Adventures with Three Mystic Adepts of Our Times for the English. And he chose this cover and this title for the Hindi book. And that is one of my paintings, you know, so.
So many takeaways in so many years.
But I'm just
Sitting
an
at the feet of
empty,
the
I'm just an empty pipe, you know.
We all are.
But I'm a little bit rusty, you know. And sometimes the water comes out, maybe not as pure as it should be, but it's still his water.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming through this
And I
rusty
think we
pipe.
have to be those empty cups so we can get that receptivity.
If you have a cup upside down,
So it's going to work.
it could rain for 100 years
Yeah.
and it'll never get
Nothing will
full.
happen.
But you turn it up, it can get filled
Yeah.
in a moment. You know what Sant Kirpal Singh Ji said to me in 1967. He said, "Saints move as the sea of love. When tides rise in it, even those sitting on the seashore get drenched in great overbearing tides of love." So that's why we go to saints and seers, not the so-called saints. The world is full of them. But there are those rare saints who are the repositories of wisdom, love, and grace.
Yeah.
So today, the world is never without a perfect living master. There are masters. There are masters of various degrees. You know, there are yogi masters, and there are those who maybe have reached the highest heights. But
And
what
you met a lot of them in the Himalayas.
I met different gurus,
Raghavacharya
many,
as well.
many. I met Sri Raghavacharya in 1967 with Sant Kripal Singh when he was 109 years old at that time. Raghavacharya was a very inspiring, awesome personality, but he also came to the feet of Sant Kripal Singh. You know, he was one of the first who recognized him. So after the death of
And
his,
he was from the Ashtanga Yoga lineage. Right?
he was, yes, he had mastered Ashtanga Yoga, and he had reached Sahasrar, which is the stage of the goal of yogis is to reach Sahasrar, or Sunsdal Kamal. That's in the astral plane where there's a central light with 1,000 flames of light. And a true yogi can take their soul up out of the body and into that stage. But that's the be-all and end-all of yoga. But there's much higher stages than yoga, than Ashtanga Yoga. The teachings of Sant Mat, or the path of the masters, is a perfect science. The other ones, they all are very beneficial. We don't degrade any great yogis or yogi rajas, but to go to the highest masters, they will give us a direct experience of the Nam, which Guru Nanak and Kabir were great masters of in their time, 500 years ago. But the world is never without a perfect master. So this book is about 3 such great perfect masters. And it's not my story. It sounds like it's my story, it sounds like it's my autobiography, but really that's just an excuse.
Yeah. But it resonates with all of us.
Yeah, it's an excuse to pass on the message. So I don't take any credit for this, and that's why I cannot take money for this book. And all the proceeds from the previous books were all donated, and the proceeds from this book will also be donated.
If you want to order the book, Moth and the Flame, or Kripal Mera Guru, Kripal Mera Malik, it's on Arran Stephens' website, aransart.org, or from Amazon.
I also have prints of my paintings, which are, I've tried to reflect in my paintings the beauty of nature and God in my paintings.
They're beautiful.
Well,
soul-stirring paintings. I have seen them.
You know, at best, an artist is at best a conduit. Whether you're a musician or an artist or a sculptor or a poet, the best art comes when the artist is not even aware of themselves. When the ego is gone, then God pours through. Kabir Sahib has said, "When you are, I am not. When I am, you are not. The path to the beloved is so narrow that there isn't room for the two of us." And he said, "If you want to enter the lane of love, come with your head on your palm as an offering." That means you have to surrender your ego. Only then can the God's grace flow into you and through you.
See, there's that beautiful couplet, कतरा वासिल हो के जब दरिया में फना हो जाता है, जब खुद ही मिट जाती है बंदा खुदा हो जाता है. When you talked about there is no identity.
Yes.
You know, when you self-annihilate yourself, that's when your true divine nature comes out.
This is what Rumi and Attar and all the great Sufi mystics speak of as well.
Yeah.
The way to the beloved. You know,
No ego.
You know, Hafiz, a great Sufi mystic of ancient Persia, he said, "No one knows where the mansion of the beloved lies. But sure enough, the chiming of the bells proceeds therefrom. And this is a hidden reference to the inner celestial music that we seek, listen to, and adore when we go in meditation. It's the inner light and the inner sound. And this is the way back to God. Kabir Sahib has said, Avale Allah Noore Upaya, Khudrat ke Sababande. He said, all creation, nature, everything came into being through the light of God. Ek noor te sab jage upajay, kaun bale kaun mande. He said, there's one light in everyone. When one light is manifest in everyone, who can be called good and who can be called bad? Avle Allah Noor Upaya. The Noor is another word for the Jyoti, or the light.
Yeah.
Whether you come from a Christian background, or a Sufi background, or Hindu, or a Sikh, or Buddhist, it's all the same light.
Absolutely.
And it cannot be imagined. It is what it is. It's real.
There's so much, and you were a pioneer in the organic movement. You talked about that, leaving the earth better than you found it, leaving the soil better than you found it.
I wanted my business to be a vehicle to help change the dietary habits of North America.
You did.
Okay, and if I've been instrumental, and then I give thanks to God and to my gurus, because it is their grace that has made it all happen. And I'm just a small little cog in a vast machinery of this universe. And, we cannot ascribe to ourselves any particular great qualities. If we have any good qualities, it is His grace. And please forgive us for our bad qualities, because we are human and we have flaws as humans.
And we all search for happiness outside. It's all inside us, and we keep forgetting it because of the distractions that have become attractions for us.
Yes.
They are the ones who are moving us further away from the truth. So finally, there's so much we could talk about, but
we could go on for days and days.
We can absolutely go on for days, and I love this beautiful setting. It's Shanti's home, your daughter's home. It's beautiful. It's brings that quietude back in us.
Yeah.
But some of the biggest takeaways from these teachings that you'd like to share with us?
I think these teachings, given out by the great masters, they are transformative. They can change our life from beginning to end. They can make a robber into a saint. They can change us. And, one time Sant Kirpal Singh Ji addressed an audience. He said, to my own self in the form of ladies and gentlemen, to my own self. They see a reflection of God in everything and in everyone. If our meditation practice makes us kinder, more compassionate, more loving, more wiser, then it is a good practice. And I like to think that the experiences that I've had at the feet of the saints has made me a better person and has taught me that service, selfless service, and spiritual practice go hand in hand. That you have an obligation to give back to this creation. You have an obligation to help your brothers and sisters, younger brothers and sisters on the path. And our younger brothers and sisters are also the animals, the creatures. Why should we eat them? We should love them, right?
Thank you so very much, Arran Stephens, the Moth and the Flame, Kirpal Mera Guru, Kirpal Mera Malik. And we all have to be like moths that dive into the flame. And what we have to do is just go into that ocean of grace and get surrounded and engulfed in that light that's waiting for us so that we can experience that true bliss, which we see in the shared experiences in Arran Stephens' book, The Moth and the Flame, and his book that's in Hindi and it's been translated in many other languages. So let's just focus on the dive deep within, not out. So inwards and upwards.
Beautifully said, sister. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for sharing those experiences that give us so much of love and light to all of us. Thank you. I'm Dr. Renee Mera. Stay healthy, stay positive.